February 2nd, ladies and gentlemen. February 2nd was the last time that Rangers won a game at Ibrox. This is not good at all. It's absolutely disgusting. And yes, some of you could say, well, there's been a 2-week international break. But regardless, 6 weeks of playing football, let's put it that way, and we haven't won a home game. Glasgow Rangers not winning a home game for 2 months or over 2 months is disastrous, absolutely disastrous, and Rangers added to that today as they lost to Hibernian 2-0 at Ibrox. I mean, again, it's familiar failings really from this squad. It's a goalkeeping mistake once again we're starting to see, and we're just starting to see all of the things that we start to see in Rangers games. You know, Dessa's missed chances, the midfield not really doing enough, and the defence just really poor. I almost expect that our defence every single game is going to let in at least 2 goals. I just think that's a given nowadays with our defence. I just think we're going to let in 2 goals regardless. So, yeah, another defeat. I mean, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, with regard to the league. The league was completely done. It's finished, but I do want this season to come to an end of some sort, and of course see us bin take over and see a lot more money come into this football club. We need a lot more investment. I mean, I say it all the time with these match reactions. The only hope is that the Europa League, we've been a completely different team, and that's the only competition that we've got left to play in so far this season. So when I see us do poor and drop points within the league, I'm not sitting here thinking, oh my God, we can close the gap on Celtic or anything like that. Obviously not. But I'm just wanting that momentum. I think we could do a bit of damage in this Europa League, and some people might go, well, we keep losing to these subpar Scottish Premiership teams, but for some reason we're a bit different within the Europa League. So I'm hoping that they are saving themselves for the Europa League, if you want to put it that way. But my goodness me, the home record is really poor. I've got a list of our fixtures since then. Of course, there's been a couple of away games, but have a little look at that. My goodness me, you've got to go all the way up there to February 2nd, where we beat Ross County 4-0. Since then, of course, we've at Ibrox, we've lost 1-0 to Queen's Park. We've lost 2-0 to St Mirren. We've lost 2-1 to Motherwell. We lost 2-0 to Fenerbahce. And then, of course, we had a couple of away games mixed in there. But that is diabolical. It genuinely is diabolical looking at that home record for a Rangers team. I'm not too sure what's happening at home, why the players can't play in front of the fans, why the players can't play in our once fortress. You know, Ibrox has always been the place where look, no games are guaranteed 3 points, but as a Rangers fan, I've always been like, well, you know, our home games we usually win. I usually see the tricky games, especially in the Scottish Premiership, being away from home, like going away to Kilmarnock, or, you know, Tynecastle can be sometimes tricky, or even it was at Easter Road. Sometimes it happens. I don't, obviously, as a Rangers fan, expect us to drop points at all, but home games, we can't be losing this many home games on the bounce. It's really bad, and yeah, I think that's a really worrying sign, especially when we're going to be inviting Athletic Club or Athletic Bilbao in the coming weeks. That first leg's going to be at home, so I don't know what it is. It's such a really peculiar situation to be in while we're so bad at home. I mean, we're pretty bad in general. You know, away from home, we've let in a lot of goals, and we've come back. We've done these comebacks away from home, which has been remarkable to see. But for whatever reason, we just can't play in front of our own fans. We just can't play at Ibrox. It's really the alarm bells are really going for me right now. I can't remember a time where Rangers have lost so many home games on the bounce. It's so bad, and you're looking at the teams that we've lost to. It's not like we've chucked in Celtic and other sides within there. You know, I've just showed you the thing. It's the likes of teams where we should be comfortably beating at home, bar Fenerbahce. But look at that: Queen's Park, St Mirren, Motherwell. It's disgusting, and it's diabolical, and it can't be happening at Glasgow Rangers. Now back onto the game. I mean, I can literally just put in the same thing. Jack Butland is a great goalkeeper. I'm not going to let people say that he's not a good goalkeeper. You know, we've seen him in the Europa League performances. In fact, we've seen him at Celtic Park make some big saves as well. We've seen him make big saves throughout the season. He's fantastic. He can be fantastic. But he's got a howler in him. I don't know what's happened to him so far this season, but he's got a howler in him. They're happening quite frequently, which is also very alarming. And that can cost you titles. You know, good goalkeepers win you titles and win you points. But Jack Butler at this moment in time is gifted a goal. I would say probably down to Jack Butland. Now, there's no stats to this, it's just my observation. But I feel that Jack Butland is giving away a goal every other game by his mistakes. And that is problematic, especially if we're going to be pushing on a title charge next season. It's a massive problem that needs to be addressed. We really need to have that conversation in the summer if we can afford to be having these howlers every other game. Because it's so bad. It's so bad. Yes, he can make all the world-class saves in games against the big teams. He can do it. Yes, we've seen it time and time again. We've seen it week in and week out in all different competitions. But when your goalkeeper's dropping howlers, just one moment in a game and gifting a goal, conversations then have to be had. You can say, yeah, look, it happened once, blah, blah, blah. But this season, there's probably been about 6, 7, 8 times, and that's probably being generous, where Jack Butland is given a goal away by incompetence, or I don't know what it is, his mind shutting off, and we can't have that going into next season, especially with the new takeover. Now, Dessers is Dessers. I mean, you can look at any match reaction and say things for Dessers. Some videos I'll be sitting here, yes, he's amazing, blah 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 blah, but it's the same conversation with Dessers. You know, he's missing chances. You know, that's what happens with Cyril Dessers, and that's the striker that we've got. Yes, his goal-to-game ratio is very good, and yes, he scored some big goals for us this season, but the plain simple of it is that he misses a lot of chances, and that was the case again here today. I don't think the midfield creates a lot for us. I really don't think the midfield is doing enough in terms of the creativity department, especially in that first half, to create opportunities for our team. I think that's a major thing to look at. And don't get me on the defence. The defence really does look like... that I could probably say before a game that we're 2-0 down before a game starts. I mean, just look at the other fixtures that we've been playing. I mean, a couple of goals down in our last game, of course, against Dundee. We were lucky to come away there with 3 points at Dens Park, to be honest with you. They went 2-0 up in that game. The same didn't happen against Celtic. But we're shipping goals off way too often. You can go back to Kilmarnock as well. But even that's away from home. But we are shipping so many goals. There's got to be a conversation had with regard to the defence. And in fact, taking away that game in general, we need a lot of investment. We need a lot more within this team. We really do. I don't think we're that far off. We can win the big games. We've seen us in the Europa League. We've seen us against Celtic this season. We're 2-1 up against Celtic so far this season, but that doesn't win you titles. It's the other shit in the division that we keep on losing to and dropping points to. So that's something that needs to be amended, I suppose, in the summer. But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. I say a lot of work, but we need quality brought in. That's what it is. I say that we're not far away, but then I do feel that we're far away. I say that we're not far away because you're seeing our Europa League performances, and our performances against Celtic suggest that actually there's not much in between the two sides. It's just the other games. And I don't know if that's complacency or just not being able to get up for it or just not being able to get them tactically. I don't know what it is, but either way, that's something that needs to be looked at for me, 100%, definitely. But guys, let's go into the live chat. Let's take some reaction from you guys in the chat. Let's go through it. I'm expecting a few guys and gals from the other side of the city, of course, to check on in. But just remember, who's in Europe at this moment in time, Celtic fans? Who's in Europe? You know, I'm already packing up to go to Bilbao for the final at some point. I mean, it very would surprise me with Rangers so far this season. I'm so used to us being so rank rotten domestically. It would surprise me if we got the job done against Athletic Bilbao. That's the sort of season we're currently having. That is the season we're having, where it was absolutely shocking. No one gives us a chance because of our domestic form, and then all of a sudden we'll pull up and get the job done against Athletic Bilbao. It wouldn't surprise me. But let's go through the live chat. William Ramage says, absolutely crap. The real Rangers, where are you? Mike says, how do you see the game going on Thursday? Well, that's what I'm just touching upon there. I mean, what did you say again? What did everyone say against Fenerbahce when we went up against them? We come off the back of probably the worst result in the club's history at Ibrox as well. So it's hard to judge with this group of players. I wish I had a bit of an idea of what's going to happen on Thursday, but unfortunately, or fortunately, I suppose, with this team, I mean, thank God that we're probably not going to get this performance that we've seen when we're going against our Athletic Club. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not that nervous for it. I feel like we're going to play better against Athletic Bilbao this Thursday. I'm not worried about the game, actually, weirdly enough. I think we're going to see the best version of Rangers in that match, even coming off the back of the defeat. So it's really hard to read. And the same thing was the case when we went to the Europa League final in 2022. We were ranked rotten domestically as well that year. For some reason, we were really good within the Europa League. So, I mean, you can say what you want. Ross says, it's not Barry Ferguson's fault, it's the players. No passion, they are heartless. I mean, you can't blame Barry as such, do you know what I mean? Look, Barry's not telling them to ship 2 goals every single game. Sometimes we can come back in these games. That kind of shows a lot about what he can do tactically and change things about and how he's set up against Fenerbahce. He can only do so much. But Barry's not telling Dessers to miss ample of chances. Barry's not telling, Jack Butland to have a howler every other game. Barry's not telling the defenders. So there's only so much you can blame the manager for doing stuff. And I don't blame Barry because we've seen these problems all throughout the season. We've seen it with Philippe Clement as well. So I don't blame Barry Ferguson for this. And in fact, we've seen a turn in our results. Maybe not at Ibrox, but we've seen a turn in our results as Barry came in. Games that we almost seen that we're dead and buried at Dens Park, Kilmarnock, and we've seen ourselves come back. So I don't blame Barry at all. I really don't. And a lot of fans, by the looks of things, of course, are sharing that view. This is not Barry Ferguson's fault. It's just a shame for a lot of players. They're simply treading water till the end of the season. The jersey or the club mean nothing to them. They simply don't care. No, I mean, to be honest, I think there's a lot of good characters within that team. Now, it's probably going to anger a few people, me saying that, coming off this defeat and the way that we've been performing domestically. But I've seen some likeable features about some of these players. Now, there's been the teams in the last couple of seasons where I thought, you know what, I don't like any of our players. Really, that was not a likeable bunch. But following the game against Celtic and all of these kind of things, I've started to see some individuals where I'm starting to go, yeah, you know what, I like him. I like what he's all about. Nico Raskan. I like the likes of Vasilev Cherny. I like Igorman. There's a decent core group there that I can get behind. But obviously, I do think there is major problems domestically, which we really need to sort out. Are the players treading water? Are the team giving it up? Well, I mean, they shouldn't be because of the Europa League quarter-final. We're 2 rounds away from a final, and before people start laughing, there's not that many great teams within the Europa League this year. It was certainly better when we got to the final in 2022. So the players should be turning themselves off. They should be using 2022 as a motivation and going, you know what, actually, how often do you get it in a football season where you can really just focus on Europe because your season's gone freaking down the drain? So, I mean, they should be treading water. They should be motivated, and hopefully we start to see a motivated group of players coming out against Athletic Bilbao. We need to end this run. Now, I'm starting to look at it going, right, we've not won a home game in 2 months now. That's worrying, really worrying. But I'm also someone that sits there and goes, well, how much longer can Rangers go without a win at home? So then I'm thinking, well, the Atletico Bilbao game's coming up this week at home. Surely we can't lose any more games. I mean, maybe trying to do myself a favour and deluding myself with my mind, really. But yeah. Let's have a little look to see here. I mean, Mike is a Tim, but I suppose he makes a good point. He says, no pressure to win the Europa League is probably why you play better in Europe than domestically. I probably would agree with that. Yeah, I would say that the boys do, the Rangers team has a mentality problem. I think domestically, we've seen that for a very long time before even Steven Gerrard came in. I think we've always kind of struggled domestically. Pressure, people can call it pressure. I think you're right. I think that happens. I think with this Rangers team, we do struggle. I think a lot of those players do struggle with pressure, and that's problematic. It's a massive problem, especially now where we've gone 2 months without a home win. Are they scared to play in front of the fans? I'm gonna get trolls calling because I like trolls. Dan, you are the biggest FUD on here. You and CJ Novo. Thank you, bro. I'll check out your channel later and we'll see what you're on about. Let's see what your content's like. Dad just says, who's in the Europa, you mean? You lot have never got a point in the Champions League ever. And one time you did qualify, you broke a record for the worst performance in history, 2 goals and conceded 20. I mean, I'm not going to come down to your level, mate. Firstly, focus on winning a knockout round. And as always, with Champions League, there's context to it. We had James Sands and Leon King as our centre-back partnership. We had injury crisis, for God's sake. I mean, again, history's never going to look at context, but we had a massive, massive problem of injuries. We had James Sands and Leon King as our starting centre-back partnership. So, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of points here again. People are saying loads of different things with regard to it. I mean, people saying about Bilbao and all of these kind of things. I want to hear some more points from today's game and what you think has gone wrong. What do you think has gone wrong in the game? What do you think has gone wrong for our season? Why are we struggling so badly against the other sides? And I don't like to be disrespectful because, again, teams have come and beat us. Right, fair one. But why are we struggling to all of these sorts of smaller teams? And again, I'm not saying that you win a league title by beating Celtic, but Celtic are deemed as, world beaters and all these kind of things from their fan base. But we beat them 2-1 if you want to look at the games, domestic games. And then you can look at the final, that went to penalties. I mean, the penalty kicks is, it's a flip of a coin. But I felt that we were the better team in the final. So we've got the job over them sorted twice so far this season. We've done really well in the Europa League, of course, finishing top 8 when we had the hardest run in the Europa League. Genuinely, I think all the hard teams that we got were in the Europa League, and we've done really well there. And Fenerbahce are no mugs either. They're a really good side. They've been doing well domestically as well. I think they've lost one game, and that was against Galatasaray. So, yeah, my thing, I just want to understand why we're so crap against the rest of the teams that we should be beating. Why are we so bad against them? I just can't put my finger on it. Genuinely, I can't think of a reason as to why we can't beat these smaller teams, the teams that we're supposed to beat. And I can get it, and I said at the start, sometimes you go to Rugby Park, it can be tough, the plastic park, and you get, they park 10 men behind the ball, and they nick a 1-0 win. It happens, right? Everybody loses to these sides. I can understand it away from home, but I just can't understand it at Ibrox. I just can't get my head around as to why it keeps on happening. Well, that's a point. I'm not trying to make it about that. You're right. We shouldn't. Well, you say that, yeah, but we have beat Celtic twice so far this season. But yeah, I don't want to be known as we beat Celtic twice FC, of course. That's why we need to be beating the other teams. But it's still a point. Do you know what I mean? It's still a point as to we're beating all the big teams. We're beating all the bigger teams that we're playing so far this season. We're just losing to all the rest of the teams. JP says, we don't know what we are on the pitch. No formation, no philosophy. Players are inconsistent. No fixed transfer policy. Now, that's also a very good point. I think, if you're looking at Philippe Clement as well, that was no philosophy. Well, he had a philosophy, but he wasn't very adaptable with what he is. But Barry's quite adaptable. He's not afraid to change things within a game. But I do, yeah. I think you're right in terms of certain aspects, but we do need the players are very much inconsistent. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with certain players that play for Rangers. Sometimes players go missing, and you can't have that along 38 game domestic season with all the cup competitions and Europe and all of these kind of things. So that's something that needs to be ironed out. But the transfer policy, I think, with the new owners, that's going to come naturally, and we're getting these dinosaurs out to the club. And yes, you can say the Rangers, man, they're one of us, and all of these kind of things. Great, but they're still dinosaurs. They don't really know what they're doing. Apart from Dave King, I suppose he didn't know the right job. But the rest of them are kind of just cutting about with their shares and all that sorts of stuff. They're dinosaurs. They don't know much about modern day football. So Having this modern day approach will probably sort out a transfer policy when we do go into the summer anyway. So hopefully that's something that can happen at some point. There's a point for some Rangers fans. So Aldo says drop Butland on Thursday. And you might sound crazy for saying something like that, but there's a conversation to be had with Butland. There's a conversation to be had because he's given away. He's dropping a howler one every 2 games. Look at it. Ever since that Manchester United howler that he did, when we were in the last minute, the one that he gave away right at the end against their first goal, I think it was, in the Europa League. He's had a howler in him ever since. I'm sure it's been every other game. He's been doing something stupid like that, giving away a goal. So that's a conversation to be had. But then again, on the other side of things, he has made some really, really good saves for us this season. He's made some cracking saves in the Europa League and against Celtic. But then in the same game, he can give away a howler. So that's a problem. But I mean, that's a conversation. There's a conversation to be had, Aldo. It's a good point. Mike says, you've answered the question. Damn, players using their games in, they are probably expected to lose. In the games they're expected to win, they don't turn up. But why is that mentality there? Is it a conversation just because of pressure? Is that all it is? Pressure? Is that it? Pressure, and that's why we can't beat these other smaller teams? We'll see it. We'll see it. I guarantee you. I don't think. All right. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but touching wood. I don't think we'll embarrass ourselves against Atletico Bilbao. I think you'll see a different Rangers to what you saw today, which is frustrating, in a way, you know? He gives us no confidence in defence. He should be saving these in the SPFL. 1,000%, 100%. There's no debate around that, you know? There is no debate around it. He needs to be. And the defensive howling as well, by the way. But when your goalkeeper's dropping howlers like that every game, it's not good. It really isn't good at all. But you know what, guys? I think I've said enough. I've been streaming for a little while. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're watching this on a replay and all that good stuff. Europa League next. We need a win. We need a home win. You know what? You might think that I'm being a bit deluded and saying that Rangers can go on and win the Europa League. I think we can. Just depends what team shows up. We're 2 rounds away from another final. I think these players need to give them everything that they've got and give it a go. I think on our day we can do it, but we just can't be having performances like that. But we'll see. And again, cue the deluded comments in the comment section below, and we'll see what happens come May. But whatever. Guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.